So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know what to think of it at this point. So I get in there, we just chilling, and she's like, oh, how was the ACT? You know, they start babying the whole conversation. How's this ACT? Great game today, or whatever. I'm like, oh, thank you. And she's like, you got to call your mom or whatever. So I was like, all right. At that point, I still don't even couldn't even think of what the situation could be. So I call my mom, and I was like, what's up, mom? She's like, great game today, whatever. She's asking me about the ACT because I didn't talk to her about it after I had taken it. And she starts getting all quiet all of a sudden. And she's just like, Joel, and it was like just a huge pause right there. She was just like, your brother has gone to be with the Lord now. And like I just immediately just dropped my phone, and I just started crying.
Joel Brown, thank you so much for joining me on D1-on-1. A little context for what this is and what I'm trying to do and what my team is trying to do with this is create a platform that empowers athletes to own their voice by sharing their stories. So for me, I've always felt like athletes like you, your teammates, are the most incredible people I've ever met. And it's the biggest shame to me that we don't have a platform or a voice even, it feels like sometimes.
Right.
And so I just thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you asking me, to join you. I'm looking forward to doing this interview with you and just kind of just seeing this brand and platform expand, because I know it can for sure.
Thank you. So to start, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
All right. So my name is Joel Brown. I'm 19 years old, born and raised in Canada. Kind of everybody knows Canada as Drake City, Toronto Raptors. So I was born in Toronto, lived there for 4 years, and then I moved to a city called Brampton, which is just literally just the outskirts of Toronto, not too far. And basically lived there my whole life until I was 15 and moved to Arizona for prep school. So I now play basketball. I've always played basketball growing up as a kid. Kind of first started with soccer.
Really?
Yeah. Soccer was kind of just more so like the first sport that we all kind of played, me and my friends, because there was newsletters going around the neighborhood to join a little soccer program. So we all did that. And then I kind of started watching basketball more. I was like, okay, I want to do basketball. And so I was doing both soccer and basketball, but I was like, you know what? Basketball's kind of more so the main focus for me. And then growing up, I kind of really loved football as well. So I started playing both. But my mom was kind of more so like, you got to pick one. She was more so concerned with all the concussions and whatnot and what comes with football. So I was like, you know what? I'll stick with basketball. And so grant that I was able to get a scholarship at the age of 15 to go to a prep school in Arizona. And that was the first time that I had moved away from my parents. And that's kind of when life for me really changed. Just kind of the environment that I was in, the decisions that I had to make. I was really independent. It made me independent. I learned a lot faster. And it was just kind of helped me separate myself. I wouldn't say so much from my friends, but just kind of bad influences and negativity going on back at home in my high school that I was close with, and kind of just helped me just focus more so on me. And for that reason, I would for sure say that's why I'm here now today.
Wow. So I would love to start with how you fell in love with basketball. So flyers going around, you're playing soccer, you're kicking the ball around. What was there a moment, or what's your earliest memory of basketball? Like, how did you fall in love with it?
Earliest memory, man, I remember my mom was actually braiding my hair, and one of the Toronto Raptors were playing at the time. I can't remember who exactly who was on the team. I know it wasn't Vince Carter's time, but from there I was just like, oh shucks, like this is a new sport I hadn't really seen before. And that's when my parents actually had bought one of those little plastic basketball nets that man, I forget what they're called, but it was in my basement, and I would just be playing with that literally in the basement. Because at first I was kicking a soccer ball all over the basement and onto the walls, just kicking it back and forth. And then they bought the little basketball net, and I was just hooping down there, right there. And so from there, that's when I was just like, all right, my parents kind of figured that, you know what, let's put Joel in basketball.
So it's so funny how we get involved in sports, reflecting back on like how I got involved with running.
Mm-hmm.
I played basketball, actually.
Oh, wow.
I was a hooper, Boys and Girls Club, and I hated it because we always lost, and I felt like I was awesome. I'm sure I sucked, but my neighbor was, or like this girl that lived right next to me, I had a crush on her, and she was on this track and field club team. So I was like, I bet I'll roll through. I'm like 10. Literally, I'm like, season starting, I'm ready, I'm here. I rolled up in my in basketball shoes and basketball shorts, and she wasn't there.
Oh.
And then I ran 2 laps and went home and was like, man,
this is it.
Missed.
Oh, shucks. Were you able to see her again?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
we're fine. Okay, but it was like,
damn. Oh, man.
I was like, missed that opportunity, but then I just kept rolling through. Here I am 14 years later, old cat out here still kicking it on the track. So it's funny to reflect. What do you think was going through your mind when you were down there playing hoops in the basement with your buddy?
At the time, it was kind of just a general feeling. It was just like, man, I'm having fun. Like, this is, I guess, what a normal kid does at this age, is just basically play hoops or whatever sport it is with their best friends.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was so competitive. So, like, I didn't really know who was winning or losing. It was just that we were so excited that the ball was either going in the net or whatnot, or we just try like different dribble moves and stuff like that. And it's just kind of copy people that we would see on TV, try to do fadeaway jumpers and whatnot. And that's kind of how like this goes to the whole Kobe situation. That's like from there, that's how I started growing up and like throwing stuff in the trash, yelling out Kobe and stuff like that. But me personally, I grew up a LeBron fan, and I've always been a LeBron fan. But, you know, as a kid in school and whatnot, everybody's just doing Kobe, shooting fadeaway jumpers. And so that was kind of one thing that for sure stuck with me. And, you know, after him passing, that was like, you know, that's something I reflected on. I was like, wow, you know, he had a pretty great impact on me from when I was a little kid. And, you know, to see him, you know, pass away is just like how iconic he is as an individual, just not in the basketball world, but just what he's done for others in different sports. So.
And then to play a game that day too.
Definitely crazy. I'll never forget, like, first off, we had a walkthrough in the morning, and after walkthrough, I had printed some papers in the student athlete computer lab, and I'm walking out, going back to my dorm to shower and whatnot before the game, and I'm on Twitter. I'm getting all these different like tweets. Kobe's dead. I'm like, what? So I go on, and the first report is TMZ. So you already know TMZ kind of is just like that little gossip type of news. So it's like, man, it's TMZ. I don't really believe it. And so I started seeing other different news brands start publicizing it. And I see other athletes start tweeting it. And I was like, wow, like there's no way this is it. And we meet at like a specific time before the game, but Coach had met with us earlier to kind of reflect upon it. And one thing that really stuck with us was everybody knows how competitive Kobe was. And, you know, everybody talks about the Mamba mentality. And, you know, the one thing our coach said to respect Kobe, even though most of us, if not none of us had met Kobe, was that to play the game and respect the game the way that Kobe would. And that was just play hard. And we kind of went with that mindset against Stanford. I mean, definitely a bigger game because it's a rivalry game and whatnot. We had lost to them earlier in the season. So, you know, you definitely want to split the series. We're at home. You know that's going to be a huge crowd and whatnot. And, you know, before the game had started, we, you know, had that moment of silence. You know, everybody was just really locked in. And you could just see it from the moment after everybody had left the film room, after Coach had spoke about the whole Kobe situation. So I knew that day was like, you know, this game we going to for sure dedicate it to him, but we for sure going to go out there and hoop for ourselves, our school and whatnot, and make sure, you know, let Stanford know that, you know, Cal is Cal.
I remember finding out from toll booth operator driving my buddy to the airport. I'm like, yo, how's your day going? He's like, it's all right. I just heard Kobe died. Confirmed it inside. I'm like, what? I was like, he's like, you know who Kobe is? I'm like, yeah, I know who Kobe is, bro. Like, what do you think I am? Like, so I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just driving my buddy to the airport. I'm like not thinking about it. And then I drop him off, drive back, and then I go to the game, support you guys, watch you play the rivals at home, like a big game. And I think it hit me when we were in the stadium and I was watching you guys warming up and seeing the emotions and then the moment of silence. And I was just thinking, to lose like your icon, hero, childhood dream, like mentor that we all aspire to be as athletes. I never even watched basketball. My mom's a Russian immigrant. I still knew what Kobe was. And to see you guys play, show up was inspiring, but then you could feel that, at least I could, knowing you guys, like I could feel that you guys were fighting like really hard to get this dub, and it goes down so, to the wire.
Right, literally, yeah.
Until like I've never seen a game where they had to rule off the buzzer beater. I was like, this is crazy, man. Like, what was your mindset? What was your mental? What was going on in your head in that moment of silence?
The moment of silence, it made me really reflect before the game started, and it was more so to appreciate everything that you got in life. And my junior year of high school, I had lost my brother, sudden death. I didn't even know till the day after he had passed away. And from there, that's when life kind of started to make sense to me. And it was more so like, Kobe just passed away. You're seeing a lot of young people pass away and unfortunately don't get to live out their lives or, what they've dreamed of doing after whatever their, career was. And in that moment of reflection, it was just like, I for sure have to be appreciative that I'm able to play the game that I love. I'm going to a school, getting a great education. And I for sure got to tell the people that I'm close with that I love them, let them know that I appreciate them. And so for that moment, it was just like, we got to go out and play hard. That was literally just the mindset. It was just like, we got to lock in, and whether anything's going good or bad, because at the end of the day in basketball, like, you're not going to play a perfect game, and there's different runs. Either we can go on a run or Stanford can go on a run. And it showed Stanford had went on a run at one point. They're up 12. And some teams could say, you know what, call it in and just say, you know what, forget it. Stanford, you guys got it. But with time still left on the clock, it was just like, why do that? And so that was just the thing. It was just like, we got to keep pushing no matter what the score is and whatnot. And, I feel like if you're not working hard or what, that's kind of just a disrespect to Kobe's. It's like, because Kobe's never ever, like, you've seen Kobe, tears Achilles and still shooting free throws and whatnot. He's playing with, broken fingers and stuff like that. And so you got people trying to emulate him and try to play injured and stuff like that. So for us, with us, none of us being injured, it's like, why give it up? And so that was just kind of the mindset, was just go in and just play hard from tip off to the end. So,
man, sorry to hear about your brother.
Appreciate that.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So this is my junior year. I had now moved to another prep school, Brewster Academy. It was a learning year. I was the youngest on the team, playing against a lot of competitive guys. So like, there's always coaches in the gym. And as the season went on, we were doing really well. Like preseason ranking, we're ranked number 1 in the country for prep school. And fast forward to February, this is when like life for me just really hits. And so at that time, I'm 19 now. I was 16. I was 16 at the time.
The number 1 team in the country.
Number 1 team in the country. Was I 16? I was 17. 17. Yeah. And I was 17. And basically, the Friday night we play against our rivals, New Hampton. And basically what it is like, New Hampton is basically what Stanford is. It's on the other side of the lake is what we would never say their name. We would say the next school on the other side of the lake. And they came to us and they played. It was a regular season game, but it was the last time we played against them for the year. And big rivalry game, school's packed. We beat them. So later that night, my parents would watch the games on live stream. So I called them, talked to them, and I was on the phone with both my mom, my dad, and my uncle. And my dad and my uncle are talking a lot to me or whatever about the game. And then the following day I got an ACT, so they're asking me like, are you prepared and whatnot? But my mom's not saying as much on the phones. But I'm not, at the moment, like I'm just really, the adrenaline just hitting, like we just won a big game. So I'm not really like, oh, my mom's not saying much to me. So I wake up the next morning, I go to my ACT hella early in the morning. And then later that day we had another big game that we needed to win in order to like secure a spot for sure in the playoffs. And end up doing my ACT. I come back in time for the game. We play that game and we win. So now after the game, this is on a Saturday. Now my coach is like, Joel, I got to talk to you. So I'm here thinking like, bro, we just won a big game. He's like, I'm trying to think of if there's anything I've done bad within like the past 24, 48 hours, which I know I didn't. So I'm just trying to think. And he's like, I got to bring you to your dorm parents' house. So like every dorm that you live in, you got a parent who takes care of you. So I'm like, what? So he takes me there. I see my dorm parent and I see my advisor. So basically my advisor is the person I talk to about my classes, just anything going on with me or whatever. They're the first person that I talk to. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know what to think of it at this point. So I get in there, we just chilling. And she's like, oh, how was the ACT? You know, they start babying the whole conversation. How's this ACT? Great game today or whatever. I'm like, oh, thank you. And she's like, you got to call your mom or whatever. So I was like, all right. At that point, I still don't even like, couldn't even think of what the situation could be. So I call my mom and I was like, what's up, mom? She's like, great game today, whatever. She's asking me about the ACT because I didn't talk to her about it after I had taken it. And she starts getting all quiet all of a sudden. And she's just like, Joel, and it was like just a huge pause right there. She was just like, your brother has gone to be with the Lord now. And like I just immediately like just dropped my phone and I just started like crying. And it was my advisor, my dorm parent, and my coach, and they're all just there like, nurturing me and whatnot. And at that moment, I didn't even know what to say. I was just like heartbroken. I was like, there's just like no way. Like my mom just really just said that. And so my coach leaves and he grabs all my other teammates, and all my teammates come now. And I finally call back my mom to kind of hear her out now. And it just makes it worse. It's like I hear my mom on the phone crying, and like this is the first time I'm hearing my mom cry. So like, and I'm not even there to like just be there and hug her or whatnot. So like it's even hurting more now. And I was like, damn, there's nothing I can do. And so all my teammates are there, like, making sure I'm okay. It's kind of just really a moment of silence. Like the room's just basically silent. Nobody knows what to say. I don't even know what to say. All you're hearing is just me just sniffing, literally. And I'm just like, wow, like there's no way this is really happening. So I literally leave the room and I call one of my best friends, who's literally like my brother. And I tell him like, bro, like this is a situation and whatnot. So I'm definitely coming home like next week or whatever. But like I don't know what to do. And that night I kind of just chilled in the room. That night we had pizza and whatnot. But after that, I was just like, I really started to like question like God and whatnot. I was like, wow, like why would God do this? Like my brother's never done anything wrong and whatnot. So like, and from there, that's how my faith kind of grew stronger with God, and just how my faith grew stronger with God. But then also like, this is when it was like really time for me to reflect and just think about life in itself and who I am as a person. And following day, we actually had another game. So we played 3 straight games back to back to back. And I was like, you know what? For my brother, he would want me to play. So that Sunday, I go and I actually play and whatnot. And then I end up going back home for the funeral and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that was just definitely like a turning point in my life for sure after that day. And I'll never forget that day.
Was he older? Younger?
Yeah, he was a year older than me.
A year older than you?
A year older than me.
So
yeah.
Can you reflect on what he meant to you?
He meant a lot. My brother had like special needs, so like my parents were very patient with him, and they took care of him a lot, which helped me kind of just become more independent a little bit. So I was like, yeah, mom, y'all go worry about him. You don't got to worry about me. So it helped me become a little bit more patient as a person. But he had like this smile that like you can ask anybody in the family or just friends. Like he had that smile that just that would enlighten you if you were having a bad day. And so for me, it meant a lot. It was just like everything I do, I'm gonna dedicate it for him because, like, obviously he would be able to do what I'm doing, and I had the ability to. So like I don't want to take advantage of that. So every time I'm doing something, I'm trying to think of him and whatnot. And so he was someone that just really motivated and pushed me. So I would always think about him, and literally like 3 weeks later I would be going home to see him. So like everything's like, wow, like I'm not gonna be able to see him again. Like I don't even remember the last thing I had even said to him. So it was like stuff like that was kind of just like bugging me. And but like I looked at it as, you know what, like he's in a better place now. He's with God. Like, he's never gonna ever suffer again. He's watching over me and stuff like that. And so it was definitely, a big loss for my mom, obviously, because that's her first, her first child. And now it's just like I'm the only one left now. But the thing is, I don't even live with them. I'm always on the road playing basketball, and I'm somewhere else now. So like I don't want my mom super worried about how I am and what, even though that's what a mom usually does and stuff like that. But he definitely meant a lot to me, and I really started like just being careful with what I do in life, how I react and respond to things, and just being very grateful for the different things that I have and opportunities that I have, because like I said, you never know when your life can be taken away, and that was something that happened to him. It was just a sudden death.
It changes perspective.
Most definitely.
My freshman year, right like a week or two before I go to college for my freshman year, training my ass off, things are going amazing, and my brother gives me a call, wake me up in the morning. He's like, hey, I got great news. Son was born. Everything's great. I'm like, awesome, man. Proud of you. Congrats. Brother's a lot older than me. And then he's like, got some bad news too. Dad had a stroke. And I was like, stroke? Like, people get strokes all the time. Like, he'll be fine. And I just remember like not having any idea of how to process it, and then running like 15 miles like as hard as I could. And at some point early on, I had the thought, like, maybe if I suffered in this, it would, like, lighten his burden, like, his weight. Wait a couple weeks, see if he progresses, gets any better. He doesn't, so I fly out to Arizona last minute. Incredibly lucky that I've been able to, like, see him one last time before he passed. But it's heartbreaking to hear his story, but it's also inspiring because, like, at 17, like, that's so much to bear for a kid that's just trying to hoop, like just trying to make the most out of the sport that you love. And then for that to completely shake your world, but keep showing up, earn a scholarship, like end up out here, set yourself on the path still.
Right.
How did that experience affect your mental health, just going through grief? I know for me personally, I was like, I'm fine. Like, I wanted to quit school and all that, and my teammates inspired me. I kept showing up. Right. A couple weeks went by. I was like, I can show up, like do my thing. People ask how's it going, I still say good. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's, my dad just passed away the other day, is whatever. But the like you just don't say stuff like that.
Right.
But I remember at one point being like, I hear there's free counseling on campus. Like I'm gonna check that out and see what that's about. And it helps so much. Right. And I think for me, that was when I like first had the opportunity to even acknowledge mental health and how it affects all of us.
Right.
What was your experience with mental health like through that tragedy?
At the time, I was for sure like really sad. And me, I'm really like, I'm a like calm, collected kid. Like I'm always goofing around or something. So I'm always happy. I'm always smiling and stuff like that. So obviously, if you don't see me doing that, there's probably something wrong with me. So obviously everybody kind of saw that like the death obviously affected me. Like I was just kind of very quiet. I'll be in class, just headphones in. I ain't really saying much. Like I'm not really talking to anybody. I'm just kind of just doing me. And that's when I kind of told my mom. I was just like, yeah, this is really affecting me way different than I thought it would. I didn't necessarily think I would get over it like within a week or two, but I was like, man, this is really just taking a toll. So for the first time, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to this counseling at school. And I spoke to the lady, kind of just told her how I felt about things. At times I start to get a little bit more angrier with certain things that I normally wouldn't. It was just kind of like a bad reaction to something. I was just like, man, I just be getting just these little outbursts. And so she kind of calmed me down and kind of just told me what I should be doing, and kind of just the basic stuff like, take a deep breath, close your eyes or whatever, count to 10. And so as I got older though, you start getting piled up with more things. You got more responsibilities and stuff like that. And I've experienced it here in college. It's just like time management and stuff like that. You're really on your own. Ain't nobody really here to take care of you. Like, obviously you can call your folks back home, you got coaches and stuff like that, but realistically, like, this is your world. Like, you got to basically survive. And so at times, like, thinking about my brother and stuff like that, or even just like friends that I've lost in the past who are my age due to violence, it was just like, wow, like, it was just kind of taking a toll, because it was like, man, I don't get to see these people. Like, I rarely go home because of all this basketball stuff, but by the time I go back home, I'm not going to see this person again. And that's how I started to kind of think. It kind of started to mess with me mentally. I'm not sleeping as much. You got homework, you got basketball, so now you're physically and emotionally tired, and you're trying to just balance everything. And for me, like I said, I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I'm trying to like perfect everything, trying to figure out all this stuff. And at the same time, I'm really not giving myself any time to just reflect on me and just like take the time to like just chill out. And like, more so, like, I'm always on the go doing something. Like, after I'm playing basketball, all right, I'm going to go to my friend's house and chill. Instead, that could be my time for me to like just relax and kind of just process things out. And so for me, it was just like, if I could just stay mentally strong and like people see that, then people can ask me like, how do you do this and whatnot, and I'll be able to like help them out. And that's just the thing with me. I always like to assist. That's just how I've been. Even on the court, like, I'm always like a pass first. I'm always like, sometimes I'm too unselfish and whatnot. And so kind of just reading different articles and whatnot about how mental health is a serious thing for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't know who to talk to or what to do. So they end up just continue going downhill. So I was like, what, mental health is a serious thing, and that's something I obviously don't want to suffer, but that's something I for sure take quite serious and whatnot, because I don't want to. I've seen people get mentally ill, and then it's just kind of just they just go downhill, and they have so much potential. And so, yeah, like, for me, it's just like, if I could, fix my mind and whatnot, I could for sure like do anything that I put my mind to.
Why is that so important to you, to be someone that assists people, to be someone that inspires people?
All right. I don't know. I think it's just like how I was just genuinely, like, just naturally just like who I was just growing up. Like, I always just wanted to just be that person, just to help someone. And if I saw someone suffer, I was like, damn, like, I wouldn't want to be that person. If I was in that person's shoes, I would want someone else to help me. So I kind of think like that, like, kind of just treat others the way that you want to be treated.
Wow.
And so for me, it's just kind of just who I am as a kind heart. Like, if you ever needed someone to talk to, like, I would never ever judge a person. Like, that's just the one thing a lot of people kind of do nowadays, is just judge and like get this wrong, misconceptions. And that's why they say this cliche thing, never judge a book by its cover. So for me, like I said, you never know what somebody's really going through in this life. Like, this world is so crazy that we live in. Like, anybody could be going through it. Like, the richest people in the world be going through it, and they don't, and some people don't know because they have all this money, so everybody thinks it's cool. Like, you never know. So for me, I always just try to be genuine and smile. Like, at the end of the day, like, for me, anytime I think about my brother, I'm always thinking about his smile. Like, I try to think about something good. So for me, it's just like, all right, if I smile, like, maybe that person remembers, oh, you was the dude that smiled at me, or you got this nice smile and stuff like that. So, that's just me. I just want to just be a helping person. And even like when I get older, like, my goal is to like get back to my community and like just help like little kids who are in, like, I was in their shoes not too long ago, trying to reach somewhere, whether they're not even trying to play basketball, whatever the case may be, whether it be just the Boys and Girls Club. Like, as I get older, I just want to help a foundation and just help, just people that just need it, for sure. Just especially with my brother, like I said, patience is like the one thing that I really learned growing up, and just kind of just being very patient with him is just like, if I can be patient with him, I can for sure be patient with anybody else. So,
yeah. So inspiring, man. I really I really love the light you bring to this world. I also love that you don't talk about it, about helping people. You don't talk about it like, oh, I have to help these people, or oh, I want to help these people. You talk about it and like, if they're struggling and I'm not, then I gotta help these people, because that's what I would want if I was struggling.
For sure, right.
And I think that duty, that's so amazing, because that will carry you through anything in your life, you know?
Right. And for me, like, I don't even look for like the whole clout thing. Like a lot of people aren't gonna do it just because they want to, like, you know, because they're kind-hearted. It's just more so because the recognition that they might get, like, oh, I helped this person and whatnot, or look at this, I helped you, so you got to help me. Like, it's not like that. If I ever to help you and you want to one day bless me and help me, then that's okay, cool. But I never ever like expect anything in return. That's just not who I am or what I want to be known as. Like, oh, I'm doing this because I got to get something back in return, because I know that you're able to do it once you get back on your feet or whatever the case. Nah, it's not like that. So,
man, thank you so much for the time, for the light, for being such an inspiration, for your grind, for your commitment. Thankful for you, man. Appreciate you
very much. I really do. Thank you.